I text Stephen, Michael, Ellie, like heaps of people.
2 gay guys, mate.
But do you keep messaging Ellie?
Like, Ellie reached out to me, and literally every 3 or 4 days she'll send a message saying,
3 or 4?
Yeah, she'll.
Well, I don't have any empathy for Tori anymore. The little bit that I had is sadly gone because I like Lauren, but I know Lauren can be outspoken, and I'm not saying she's always right, but I hate the vindictive and malicious way that Tori tried to expose a secret in front of everyone at the commitment ceremony. I feel like, well, anyway, I digress. Hey there, thanks for stopping by. It's Valerie. Welcome to my channel. If you're new here, don't forget to subscribe, click the like button, turn on the notification bell for when I upload new videos, share, and definitely leave a comment. In this episode, I'll be reviewing Married at First Sight Australia, Season 11, Episode 33. Anyone surprised that we're still hearing Sarah and Tim go on about working on their connection and feeling that they're doing amazing and they're at this great spot? And it's like, stop. We've heard enough. It's time to move on. We really are fed up. There's no need for us to continue hearing this. We heard it the first time, the second time, the third time. Yes, you're working on your connection. You can see somehow from Tim's body language when they're sitting on the couch that he's sort of distancing himself. Though his legs are close to Sarah and Sarah is trying to lean in and be intimate, his upper body is sort of moved backwards as though he's trying to sort of distance himself away from Sarah. I think they reached an agreement that they would stay on the show so that she could try and revamp her character. He's too nice to say no, and I think that's why they stayed on the show. You have Lauren and Jono. They are happy. They say they're in a good place since they went to homestays, and so, you know, things are going great for them. And it's like, I can't wait for the drama. I can't wait for the drama because I know it's coming at some point. Either they broke up on the show or they broke off after the show, so I can't wait. And the fact that Tori's bragging, she's saying she's feeling euphoric about the fact that someone has given her some information, makes me think that it's to do with Jono and Lauren, and this could be the beginning of the end for them. And I feel really sad for Lauren because she didn't deserve this. And the excitement on Tori's face makes me think, like, when Lauren told you about Jake, she wasn't taking pleasure out of it. So for you to say people in glass houses shouldn't throw stones doesn't make sense, and I don't get why she had to bring that up. And then with Jaden and Eden, I'm going to say this. I know they were having a back and forth. Well, it wasn't really a back and forth. It was Jaden speaking and Eden just agreeing with everything he said. And the question that how did things go left? Things went left then when they started involving themselves in other people's business. When they were keeping to their pact and playing happy couples, things were going great for them. The moment they decided to involve themselves in Sarah and Tim's business, this is when things went left. They shouldn't have involved themselves in anybody else's business. They should have kept to themselves, and they should have kept pretending that their relationship was amazing as they had done since the start. Because now looking at it, it makes me question whether they were actually being authentic at the start or whether they were play acting and now this is the truth of who they are. Because you can't tell me that, you know, Eden has been able to keep her anxiety in check and then suddenly in the last 2 weeks, that's when things have fallen apart. That doesn't make sense to me. That doesn't make sense. So I can't wait to see what actually happens with them, because I don't see this relationship lasting, you know, long term, in the sense that she says, oh, if I don't agree with him, then, you know, we keep going in circles. Well, maybe if you have an open and honest conversation with him, if you find that he's going in circles, maybe speak to the experts and see if they can give you tools to help you sort of navigate your communication differences. Even the rest of the group, they might be able to understand or be able to articulate to him what your problem is, but you keep shutting him down because you don't want people involved, which makes me question whether, yes, she might suffer from anxiety, but I think it's conveniently placed in the sense that she's using it to get her way. I'm sorry if I'm wrong, but that's the impression that I get. I have always questioned Jaden and Eden because they seemed too good to be true. They seemed too well polished, and it seemed like they were play acting. I don't know whether they were pretending or not, but at least this couch ceremony was able to give us or shine a light into Jaden and the person he is and how he communicates, because communication was one of their biggest, you know, hurdles. And I think Jaden has actually articulated clearly, and is actually, yes, he might be wrong in the sense that Eden is saying that she feels like she's stifled and she can't speak out, but what this couch session proved was Jaden was right in his insistence that let us speak to the group, let us speak to the experts, let us tell them, let's shine a light on our relationship and the issues that we're having. in talking to the experts, they were able to actually get help and actually get an aha moment, in the sense that we were all able to understand, even the experts, that Jaden, the reason why he was hammering Tim, do you like Lucinda? Do you like Lucinda? Is he someone who's used to black and white, someone who's used to, there's a problem, let's fix it and let's move on. And because he was struggling to fix his problem, this is why he kept going in circles and in circles. And Eden was becoming frustrated that we're not moving on, but that's because he wants to address the problem. And if you're not telling him what the problem is, then he can't address it and he can't move on. And because he's someone who's used to competitive sport, he's used to setting goals and achieving them. And so in this relationship, he must have had his expectations and the goals that he had set in order to make them successful. And somehow, because he couldn't achieve those goals, this is why they were struggling. I give credit to the experts that they kept poking and poking and poking until they finally found out what the problem is. Eden, for me, I don't get why she was saying, oh, I feel as though I don't have a voice. I don't know. I want to be sensitive to that because I don't know her as a person, but it doesn't make sense to me, because if he's asking you what is the problem, why not tell him what your problem is? If you two fall out, then say, okay, fine, this is the reason why I don't talk to you. But for you to give an excuse and say, oh, I feel like we keep going in circles, ask, why are we going in circles? Don't be worried about the fact that you're going in circles. Why are we going in circles? If you find out the root cause behind why you're going in circles, maybe you'll be able to address the reason and move on. And if you can't move on, come back to the group or go to the experts, have a conversation. I think had they been honest with the status of their relationship and the issues they were facing from the start, they would have been the strongest couple in the experiment. But because they were playing up until they fell out after the Sarah incident, now I don't know whether they'll have enough of the tools they'll need to make their relationship successful. I feel like they would have benefited from another couple of couch sessions, but hey, it's towards the end. It is what it is. Ridge is a fool, but I like him. I love him. Anyway, so next up is Ridge and Jade. And Jade is sort of explaining. She was very delicate. You could see she really cares about Ridge and she's trying not to upset him or say anything that's bad about him. So she talks about the fact that he seemed to settle into her routine very well at home. Her family really liked him, but there is a concern that, the distance. Anyone who's in a long distance relationship knows that it's difficult. And especially if you're there's a distance of a distance plus difference in time zones, that's going to make things difficult. So I understand where she's coming from, and the fact that she's worried that once he goes back home, he's going to be around his mates, he's going to be around his normal things that he did, and he might change his mind and decide, well, I don't want someone with a child. And Regis is insistent that no, this is it for me. I am falling in love. The fact that he says I was this little bit away from saying I love you, and it's like, oh, I think Jade is good for Rage. She allows him to grow and sort of be a mature version of himself. Yeah, he does have his goofy, silly moments, but I still like the man that he is, and I like how they've navigated their relationship in the sense that they've always focused on one another. They haven't involved themselves in anybody else's business. Even when they spoke about Jake, it was because someone sort of asked them. It's not like they volunteered information. So I really like their progression. The fact that they're both falling in love with one another is amazing to see. And so I also like the fact that unlike Tori and Jack, they had a plan. Ridge was like, we've agreed that, if I go to see her, we'll set a date for when she's coming to see me. That way we have a date in mind, and the same vice versa. And you could see Tori smiling, and I'm like, you're smiling. You don't have a plan. You're the one who's going to be going to the Gold Coast for this idiot, and he's not going to be coming down to see you. So why are you smiling? Why aren't you asking him that? Why don't we have a plan like Ridge and Jade? Make that make sense? I think I can see a future for Ridge and Jade. I think if they continue on the path they're on, and if Ridge doesn't sort of go back to, his goofy self with his buddies, I think it will actually be better for him. And I think him moving towards Jade, as I said, it will be good for Jade in regards childcare for her daughter, and her daughter to sort of remain in an environment she's familiar to, while her mom is introducing a new person. But I think it will bring growth for Rage because he'll be away from his goofy friends. Yes, he might make new friends, but I think it will transition him into a different phase of his life of his life. And I love the fact that somebody asked that, you've been living with your mom and dad. How do you think you sort of progress to moving in with a woman? And he went, well, I was going to leave my mom and dad at some point. I wasn't going to live there for forever. So he already knows that he's at this point where he's supposed to transition in his life, and he's accepted it and is willing to do the work to make, that become a reality. So I love that for them. I really do. They both chose to say yes. Am I surprised? No. Aw, Tim and Lucinda. Am I surprised? No, I'm not. I think Timothy is going to have a lot of regret, and he seems to have a lot of regret, because they do talk about the fact that Lucinda felt unwelcome in his house. I think going to his home and seeing the state his house was in really was upsetting for him, and I think embarrassing as well. And he tried his best to clean up and tidy up, but it was too late. I think he should have asked one of his friends to check up on his place, since they said there was a 20-year-old living there. And Lucinda, yeah, she is justified to say she wants to leave. She's done her best. She's done her best in this experiment. Tim has benefited greatly from having Lucinda in his life, because she's given him a shoulder to cry on. She's been the comfort, the love, the compassion, the empathy he's needed as he's transitioned through his grief after losing his dad. I know a week or so ago he did say that he regretted the fact that he wasn't prepared to meet someone like Lucinda when he came into the experiment, because he knows he would have benefited greatly in having a long-term relationship with her. I've said this before, and I'll say it again. Lucinda is the woman that Timothy needed, not the woman he wanted. He might have wanted someone who's, blonde hair, blue eyes, has got nice boobs, nice figure, whatever. But Lucinda is the woman he needed. And you can see that even when she said she wanted to leave, you could see the regret on his face. Even when she was expressing everything she's been through, you could see the regret on his face. When she read the note she had written out for him, you could see the regret on his face that it was too late. There was no way of convincing her to stay. And the only thing he can do now that they've both decided to leave is put in the work, go into counseling, work hard to win Lucinda back if he really feels he likes her. She said her door is always open to him. He is family for life. So she has learned to I think Lucinda's learned to love herself. She's learned to value herself. She's learned to set boundaries and know what she expects in a relationship and what she doesn't expect, which I really love for her. Timothy on his own, you could tell he's got a lot of regret. He had a lot of nice things to say about Lucinda, but he's got a lot of regret. And I think leaving the experiment and being away from Lucinda is going to realize what he lost out on. He's going to realize what he lost out on, because she would have built him into, or she would have helped him grow into the best version of himself. And him saying, I'm not a spiritual person, or he's already an emotional and spiritual person, because that door is now open. And moving away from Lucinda and going back home is going to show him that this is who he is now. Yes, he might still have that hard shell, but he's still got the gooey center in the middle, and it will take someone breaking that and him opening up. I think he's going to go back to Lucinda. He said he speaks to Lucinda every day. He video calls Lucinda every day. So I wouldn't think if she were in a relationship, her partner would be open to that. I can't wait to see the reunion and see where they stand as of now. But I'm happy that the two of them have both decided to leave and maybe go home and do some work on themselves. And when they're healed and in a better place, have a conversation and see where they stand. So next up is Sarah and Tim. Sarah and Tim, for me, something that I don't understand. I'm sorry, I don't understand them. In the sense that at the start of the relationship, Sarah didn't want anything to do with Tim. She was told off by the experts. Then she suddenly changed her mind and wanted something to do with Tim. And then suddenly she was called out for cheating. And then now she wants to be all over Tim and she's working hard. I'm not buying it. Everybody else might be buying it. I'm not buying the act. Because if you look at Timothy, I want everyone to go back and look at, clips of Timothy's body language when he's sitting with Sarah. The distance that he sort of tries to put between them, especially his upper body, it tells you that he's really not there. Yeah, he said, she hasn't regained his trust. But I still think there's a lot more going on there that we're not being told. They seem to be in a good place. The experts are sort of talking about them as this redemption story, in the sense that she made a mistake and she was able to redeem herself quickly. She says, she doesn't care about anybody else but Tim. I think she's just saying what needs to be said in order for her to stay on the show. That's the impression that I get. I don't think they're still together. I think I saw a clip of him with somebody else, but I'm not buying whatever they're trying to sell. Sadly, I'm not buying it. Do I think they're worth fighting? That relationship is worth salvaging? No, I don't. I think Sarah has done a lot of things that are red flag that should sort of be a pause for concern for Tim, and that's why he needs to move on. There's no point in sort of her regaining his trust. They can be friends, but I don't think in a romantic sense there's any need to continue with this relationship. They both chose to stay. Apparently everybody sees the changes. Maybe it's just me, maybe I'm too cynical, but I don't get it from the clips that we're saying that they are in the best of places. It seems more like they're putting on an act just to try and stay on the show. But anyway, that's just me. We'll see what happens at the final vows. Tori and Jack are next on the couch. And for me, Tori is one of those people, we all have that person in our life that we see them going down a hill and we can see that what they're doing is wrong. And we're tired of constantly telling them that you're making the wrong decision or you're making the wrong choices, and they keep fighting us. So she's one of those people that in the end, you just look at them and just wait for them. When things go wrong, then you say to them, we did see you, but we knew you were not going to listen to us, so it's pointless. Because she sits there and they're asked about, her and Jack and the fact that they had sex, and they both said it's brought us closer. Tori says she's falling in love, and Jack says he feels like he's on the same path. And it's like, when did we go from you don't have any feelings towards her, or if you were matched with someone you really liked or had a spark with, things would have progressed, and suddenly you're saying that you feel like you're falling in love with her? Make it make sense. Don't just open your mouth and say things that don't make sense. And I'm not buying whatever he's trying to sell. And so for them to make out like, oh, we're in a happy place, oh, yesterday I said to the people I don't want anything to do with them because I felt backed into a corner, and then she tried to use tears, and everybody was taken aback that, oh, you can actually cry. We didn't realize this. So you're crying that we all upset you, but you're not crying. That's the impression that I get, that you're crying that we upset you, but you're not crying that your partner is disrespecting you, and he has disrespected you from the day you two were married. Make that make sense. It doesn't make sense. And so for her to make it seem like, she was in a very vulnerable position, this is her excuse every time. When Jack said, muzzle your wife, she used it, oh, he was backed into a corner and he had nothing else to do but defend himself. And it's like, no, we're tired of you making excuses for this man. It's time to move on. We are really tired. We can't take any more of you making excuses for this man and his bad behavior. We need to move on, and we need to come up with a different excuse, because we've all heard this. And for Lauren to be backed into a corner and be asked, why are you always criticizing? She's not the only person who's critical of this relationship. Everybody's critical of this relationship. Some of them might not vocalize it, but they're all critical. And I don't get why he wasn't asked about the wind emoji and what that meant, because the experts so rich say he sent him a wind emoji. Why didn't he get asked about that? Why didn't he have anything to say? And Tori, you can see, because people are calling out genuine concerns, she now has it out for Lauren, and it's like, you're going to look like an idiot. Whether Jono is wrong or not, you're going to look like an idiot, because obviously it seems she's the one who received a message. I have a feeling that after whatever happened at the dinner party, she went out looking for information, and Jack must have told her that, speak to so-and-so and you'll get dirt on Lauren and Jono's relationship, and then you can bring it up. Because once they've both written stay, and Jack is saying, oh, I'm here till the very end, she then confides in Jack that, oh, I have something I need to bring up once Lauren and Jono sit on the couch. And it's like, please, Lauren is not your enemy. Your enemy is the man you're sitting next to. But hey, if that's how you see it, hey, it is what it is. Is Lauren and Jono, and they seemed to be in a great place. They seemed to be very happy. They were giggly, they were excited because they had moved on, or Lauren thought they were moving on. And for Tori is a woman scorned. She was just out for blood. She just wanted to sort of spite Lauren because she felt Lauren had not had anything positive to say about, Tori's relationship. And so she was looking for something bad. And when she found it, she ran with it because of the way she brought it up. I think she didn't expect it to play out the way it played out. I think she expected Lauren to sort of kick off and everyone to sort of turn against Lauren. But instead, people were very supportive and actually backed Lauren because it backed Jono into a corner. How do I feel about Ellie? I was indifferent to Ellie during her time on the show, but the fact that she reached out to someone else's husband and started chatting with him and asking him about the commitment ceremonies doesn't make sense to me. I think that was her way to find an in. I think she was attracted to Jono when she was on the experiment, and I think he was attracted to her. And so she used, the pretext of trying to check up on him as a way to sort of continue their connection and continue to build and grow and create a bond. And this is how they went off. And for Jono, I think Jono, the guys knew that he always liked Ellie. I think this is what Jack had over his head and was sort of using against him. This is why when Lauren sort of tried to get Jono to back her, he wouldn't back her because he was worried that Jack would expose the fact that Jono was attracted to Ellie. That's the impression that I get. They both chose to stay. Do I think it's a good idea? I think they couldn't change their decisions, but I think had Lauren known before, she would have said leave. I think had she known before, she would have said leave. It seems tomorrow she's on a warpath, and I can't wait for that. And I really I'm starting to believe that Tori is the yin to Jack's yang, because they really complement each other, and they are two. Well, she's the female version of Jack. That's the impression that I get because of the way she brought up the information about Ellie. It was spiteful. It wasn't because she was after what was in Lauren's best interest. I didn't get that impression. I think it came across more as though she was being spiteful, she was being vindictive, and she wanted to break that relationship or fracture it as much as she could. That way there wouldn't be any hope of them succeeding after the experiment. I didn't like it. I didn't like the way she brought it up. I didn't like the way Tori continued with it. And so I can't wait for tomorrow because it seems she's going to have more details about the text messages. I don't think she should be involved in that. I think Lauren is woman enough to ask Jono to see the messages, and she would be able to see what's actually going on with that relationship without, Tori coming in and sort of messing it all up for her friend or her ex-friend. Anyway, I digress. Thanks guys for watching. Please don't forget to like, share, comment and subscribe, and click the link in my video to watch my review from episode 32. Bye guys.